Ready? Be ready. Start. The aforementioned rules provide a complete mechanism and procedure in the matter of holding an inquiry in the cases where the major penalties are imposed. Rule 7 within bracket 3 provides that the charges framed shall be so precise and clear as to give sufficient indication to the charged government servant of the facts and circumstances against him, the proposed documentary evidences, and the name of the witnesses proposed to prove the same, along with oral evidence, if any, shall be mentioned in the charge sheet. The charged government shall be required to put in written statement of his defense person on a specified date, which shall not be less than 15 days from the date of issue of charge sheet. He shall indicate as to whether he desires to cross-examine the witnesses mentioned in the charge sheet and whether desires to give or produce evidence in his defense. The charge sheet, along with the copy of the documentary evidences mentioned therein and list of witnesses and their documents, statements, if any, shall be served on the charged government servant personally or by registered post at the address mentioned in the official records. In case the charge sheet could not be served in a forced manner, the charge sheet shall be served by publication in a daily newspaper having wide circulation. Where the charged government servant denies the charge, the inquiry officer shall proceed to call the witnesses proposed in the charge sheet and record their oral evidence in presence of the charged government servant, who shall be given opportunity to cross-examine such witnesses. Full stop. New para. On failure of the charged government servant to appear on the date fixed in the inquiry or at any stage of the proceeding, in spite of the service of the notice on him, or having knowledge of the date, the inquiry officer shall proceed with the inquiry ex parte. Full stop. In such a case, the inquiry shall record the statement of witnesses mentioned in the charge sheet in absence of the charged government servant. Full stop. The disciplinary authority, if it considers necessary to do so, may be an order appoint a government servant or a legal practitioner to be known as presiding officer to present on its behalf the case in support of the charge. The first contention raised by the learned counsel for the petitioner is that the charges are vague and do not disclose the allegation on the basis of which such charges are based. The specific stated taken in that documents on the basis of which the charges have been framed have not been supplied to the petitioner in order to substantiate his plea stress, and has been laid on various communications sent by the petitioner to the respondents to furnish the documents on the basis of which charges have been framed. Various correspondence have been exchanged by the petitioner with the respondents in this behalf, in which persistently it has been emphasized that he is unable to file reply in absence of documents allegedly supported the charges framed against him. Full stop. New para. Nevertheless, as noticed above and which is evident from the records, the Tahsildar himself processed the file and recommended that the leases were valid and did not suffer from any infirmity. In essence and in pith and substance, the Tahsildar applied his mind to the said allotments and accordingly made a recommendation that the petitioners were eligible to receive the said allotment of lease from the Gau Sabha. In the opinion of the court, once the Tahsildar had applied his mind, being the competent authority for approval, then in that view of the matter, the will be presumed to have approved the said allotment in favor of the petitioners, and which has been noticed by this court while granting an interim order on 22/1/2008. This act of the Tehsildar, even though subsequent in point of time, cannot be faulted with. The factum of the report and recommendation of the Tehsildar has been noticed in the impugned orders. The fact has been stated in para 7 of the petition and has been accepted as a matter of record in para 5 of the counter affidavit of the private respondent. The same has also not been questioned or disputed in the counter affidavit new para. The Tehsildar, therefore, having recommended favorably, will be presumed to have supplied his mind to the same to approve means to be in favor of or to judge favorably. It is to favorably sanction and confirm an act. This suppression is an act of approval rectifying an authorized act. It is an assent which is an probation through a formal attestation. The Tehsildar recommendation was favorable to the petitioner, and therefore it was conducted by a competent official approving the allotment. The respondents have not been able to bring on record any material to the contrary, nor has the state has filed the affidavit of the Tehsildar converting the said fact. In these circumstances, it cannot be said that the approval was bereft of any orders of the Tehsildar, who was the authority competent to grant the approval. Putting of signature by the subdivision magistrate might therefore be superfluous, but the exercise of the discretion by the Tehsildar in supporting the recommendations cannot be said to be an act either without authority or without jurisdiction. In opinion of the court, the recommendation made by the Tehsildar will amount to his approval, and in the aforesaid circumstances, the findings recorded by the authorities below on that account can be sustained. The impugned orders 29/8/2007 and 31/12/2007 are hereby quashed for the aforesaid reasons. So far as the issue of eligibility of the petitioners and the issue of cancellation on other grounds of irregularity is concerned, it is open to the collector to take appropriate action in case he finds that the allotments were otherwise made in favor of ineligible persons, provided that the limitation as prescribed under the provisions of section 198 permit him to proceed to do so. The writ petition is allowed subject for the aforesaid observations. Full stop. New para. The findings of the aforesaid prescribed authority that they did not get their names mutated independently would not be detrimental and cannot be adverse circumstances to deny them their independent little overhand land to the extent of their share. He further contends that even if subsequent settlement proceedings have been carried out under the UP Consolidation of Holdings Act 1953 and the co-tenants have failed to get their name recorded, then such an omission cannot take away their rights which they are asserting before the state. The submission, therefore, in short, is that their independent right in our holding also did exist, and there was no bar operating against them as conducted by the prescribed authority. Full stop. The appellant authority, according to them, also misdirected itself by recording that the bar of section 49 of the UP Consolidation of Holdings Act will be attracted as the sons had failed to get their names recorded for a long time. He has further submitted that invited the attention of the court to the documents, namely the statement of the beneficiary under the will and the attesting witnesses, which was recorded before the prescribed authority in case number 208 of 1988 State versus Shiv Charan Singh under the Sealing Act. He submits that the said statement clearly proves the execution of the will and its attestation as such will had been proved through cogent evidence in terms of Section 68 of the Evidence Act. Full stop. Thank you.